We have mentioned before that South African rugby fans do have short memories, and you would know, as our rugby historian, that the Boks have hit some even worse lows in the past. So perhaps fans shouldn't get too sort of excited about this. But your column, which you entitled "Close to Chaos," sort of does suggest that we are near a rock bottom.
Yeah.
Do you want to just, and then you've obviously been through the different combinations, the problems and suggested changes. I mean, it's pretty much throughout the field. I mean, is there any sort of area specifically that is the biggest problem?
I think, Nick, that as Nick Mallett said on Saturday, the bossing positions, if you like, are areas where the Springboks are coming so short at the moment. They look sort of collectively sort of rabbit in the headlamps because they're not getting sort of proper positional leadership from the sort of spinal positions in a rugby team, which is your hooker, your number 8, your scrum half, your fly half, and your inside centre. Now, if you analyse all of those positions at the moment, the players in them and how poorly they are playing, and in some cases, in fairness, players who we know are actually better than what we're getting from them at the moment. That's a whole separate issue. Why are we getting so many of our relatively senior players under-delivering so badly is a whole separate issue. But the fact remains that South Africa are struggling to sort of stamp any kind of authority on a match. I mean, they're struggling just woefully to try and establish real estate. We always think of a Springbok team, especially against a team like Australia, you would imagine that our pack would take a sort of muscular hold on proceedings, and they didn't manage it. Again, as Garen said, I'm not quite sure where Alistair comes with that argument about how we sort of, were sort of assertive at the breakdown, etc. I think South Africa's breakdown game has gone very backwards, especially since someone like Richie Gray left the sort of the Brains Trust as a one of those people who we sort of recruited from overseas, very, very renowned Scottish breakdown specialist, and he's gone. And so we just look a mess absolutely everywhere, and partly because we're getting such complete sort of inertia in those key areas. And I think especially your 9 and 10 is a big problem for me at the moment. And I never thought we'd say this. A few weeks ago, we were all, we've got to admit here that all of us were very partial to this idea of Faf de Klerk and Elton Jantjies, because we'd seen them look so fantastic in Super Rugby for the Lions. But Super Rugby isn't international rugby, and it's becoming a little bit too clear in the last couple of weeks that at the moment neither of them look completely equipped to actually sort of boss an international game. It's one thing sort of throwing the ball around in sort of late summer, nice, hard, firm conditions when players aren't too tired either. This is where when you get to the international season, and your depth gets tested, your stamina gets tested, etc., etc. They're now playing on sort of enemy terrain, away from their sort of favoured grounds. I mean, we know the Lions love playing at a place like Ellis Park, where of course it's hard, it's fast. There's passionate support, hometown support behind the Lions. But a few of those Lions players who've come into the Springbok mix just haven't managed to get that level. And it's too easy to say, oh well, it's because of the Springboks having a rather archaic strategy. I don't think you could have expected Alistair Coetzee to just say willy-nilly, we're going to play like the Lions. That would be naive. Super Rugby, as I said, is not Test rugby. Elements of the Lions' game plan certainly need to be installed, and I think someone like Johan Ackermann could actually, let's not forget that he coached SAA when they had a rather hastily compiled game against the England Saxons, and so he's sort of thereabouts, and I think they should actually haul in Johan Ackermann just to provide some sort of assistance to the Bok management structure. But yeah, I mean, as you said, positionally, there are very few positions where you can actually enthuse about the Boks at the moment. I don't think that outside of maybe Ibn Etzebeth, there's who sort of deserves to wear that number 4 jersey. Who else can you positively say in that Springbok team at the moment totally commands his position, is undroppable? I can't think when last, even during the sort of the really bad days of Rudolf Stroili, even some of Jake White's matches, the 49-0, etc. You still had more players who, certainly warranted their positions. At the moment, that just doesn't exist in about 14 of the 15 spots, which is a real indictment on the quality of South African rugby at the moment.